Hey folks, welcome to grade 9 math video time. Here's your first video and we're going to have it on divisibility rules. Now divisibility rules help us decide what number a larger number is divisible by not having to do too many calculations. They let us look at a large number and decide pretty quickly whether or not it is divisible by a specific number. Just on a side note, you'll notice that there's a little icon here. If you go into the classroom, one note that I will share with you, you can actually double click this file and you can print out some notes if you've missed them or you've misplaced them. Yeah, so let's go on with the meat of the matter. So, if a number is divisible by 2, so if a number is divisible by 2, it means that the last digit is even. So 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. So an example would be 128 is divisible by 2, and 191 is not. Okay, because 1 is not an even number. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Next, 3. We know that something is divisible by 3 if the sum of the digits is divisible by 3. So something like 381. 3 plus 8 is 11, plus 1 is 12. So 3 plus 8 plus 1 equals 12, and 12 is divisible by 3. So we know that 381 is divisible by 3. Now here's a cute little shortcut here. I know that 3 is divisible by 3, so then I almost can just disregard this 3 and go 8 plus 1 is 9. So if I know that a sum before is, I don't have to say, okay, 3 plus 8 plus 1 is 12. I can say, okay, yeah, 3 is divisible. So then I move on to the next one. 8 plus 1 is 9. That's also divisible. Because whenever you add two numbers that are divisible by 3, you get a sum that is divisible by 3. If you didn't quite catch on to that, don't worry. If you just add all 3 digits and it's divisible and it produces a number that is divisible by 3, then the whole number is divisible by 3. Let's just give an example that's not. So 212. 212. 2 plus 1 plus 2 is 5. 5 is not divisible by 3. So 212 is not divisible by 3. Because the sum of 2 plus 1 plus 2 is 5, and that's not divisible by 3. That means that the whole number 212 is not divisible by 3 either. We know that something is divisible by 4 if the last 2 digits are divisible by 4. So for example, 1, 3, 1, 2, we're only looking at the last 2 digits. 12 is divisible by 4, so we know that 1,312 is divisible by 4. If we have another example, 7,019, we're looking at the last 2 digits. 19 is not divisible by 4, So we know that 7,019 is not divisible by 4. We know something is divisible by 5. That's pretty easy if the number ends in 5 or 0. So just quickly, 175 is, 174 is not. You know a number is divisible by 6 if the larger number, if the number is an even number that is divisible by 3. That is, that it is divisible by 2 and it's divisible by 3. So if we look at the number 114, we know that it's even. So since it's even, let's see if it's divisible by 3. 1 plus 1 plus 4 is 6, which is divisible by 3. So we know that 114 is divisible by 6. Let's see another one. We have 342. Let's see if it's divisible by 6. We know that it's even, so we know that it is divisible by 2, but is it divisible by 3? 3 plus 4 plus 2 is 9. Now here's the tricky bit that I sometimes get confused about. 9 is divisible by 3, but it's not divisible by 6. Remember, all that needs to happen is that the sum of the digits has to be divisible by 3, which it is, and it has to be even, which it is. So remember, the sum of the digits for divisibility of 6 rules says that it has to be divisible by, the sum has to be divisible by 3, not by 6. Okay, so we're saying that this guy right here is also divisible by 6. Seven's a bit of a tricky one. So we're not going to come up against 7. We're mainly going to be focusing on 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and also 9. Sometimes 8. But 7 is one of the ones that we're not going to focus so much on. But there is a divisibility rule actually for 7. So we know it's divisible by 7 if you double the last digit and subtract it from the rest of the numbers, and the answer is 0 or divisible by 7. Woo! Okay, so what does that actually mean? Let's see it in real life. So we have the number 6, 72. So we're going to talk about comparing the last digit, so our 2, with the rest, so the 6 and the 7. So the last digit, 2, doubled is 4. So we take the 4 and we subtract it from the other numbers. So 67 minus 4 is 63. So we know that 672 is divisible by 7 because 63, the answer, is divisible by 7. If you don't quite get that one, don't worry about it. I can give you some numbers that you can practice this with. This is one of the ones that is not as important, or it's a little bit more tricky. 8, the divisibility rule is if the last 3 digits are divisible by 8. Now what's kind of cool about this is, for anybody who knows anything about powers and exponents, we know that 8 is 2 to the 3. Okay, so there's a relationship there. Let's go back to our 4. If we express 4 as base 2, we would say 2 to the power of 2. The 2 digits. And if we look at 2, 2 to the 1, if the last digit is divisible by 2. That's a cool kind of connection there, just to help you remember. So, for example, if we have 109,816, it is because, this is my shorthand for because 816 is divisible by 8. If we wanted to just go off to the screen a little bit, I'll just do some scratch work. 8 divided by 816. 8 goes into itself once. 8 goes into 16 2 times. We have no remainder, and so that means that 8 goes into 816. So what about 216,302? Well, if I go off to the side and say 8 divided by 302, 3 goes into 3 0 times, so we look at 30. 8 goes into 30 3 times, and it has the remainder of 6. So I put it here. 8 goes into 62, but it doesn't go into it evenly because 8 times 8 is 64. So we know that it's 8 times 7, and it's a remainder of 6. So since 3 is not, because 302 is not divisible by 8. What's cool about 9 is it follows 3. So if we know that something's divisible by 9, if the sum of the digits is divisible by 9. So if we were to give the example 1, 6, 2, 9, we'd say 1 plus 6 plus 2 plus 9, that equals 18. So we know that it is divisible by 9. However, if we have the number 2013, 2 plus 1 plus 3 equals 6. So 6 is not divisible by 9. 6 is divisible by 3, but it's not divisible by 9. So we know that 2013 is also not divisible by 9. 10 is easy if the number ends in 0. We know it is. Simply put, 70 is divisible by 10. 71 is not. 11 is another one of those that is a little tricky, but we'll go through the example real quick. You can, the great thing about videos is if it goes a little bit too quick, you can go back and watch it again. If you add every second digit, then subtract all other digits, and the answer is 0 or divisible by 11. And it's okay if the number is negative. As long as it's negative and divisible by 11, we're happy. So the example here would be 1364. I'm just going to highlight every second digit here. So we have 3 and 4, and we have 1 and 3. Oh, sorry, 1 and 6. So the way that I would do this is I would say 1 plus 6 minus 3 minus 4, that's 0. So we know that this number is divisible by 11. What about the number 3729? We're going to say 7 plus 9 minus 2 minus 3, and that equals 11. So yes, it's also divisible by 11. 12 is similar to 6. So we know that something's divisible by 12 if it's if the number is divisible by both 3 and 4. So for example, 6, 4, 8, let's see if it's divisible by 3. We're going to say 6 plus 4 plus 8 equals 18. So that is divisible by 3. Is it divisible by 4? Let's check the last two digits. Yeah, because 4 times 12 is 48. So we're saying it's also divisible by 4. So that means 648 is divisible by 12. So let's take a really big number. Let's say something like we have 7,281,495. Let's see if this actually is divisible by, say, 9. I don't want to have to go 7 plus 2 plus 8 plus 1 plus 4 plus 9 plus 5. I mean, I could do that. I could absolutely do that. But that takes a little bit too much brain power. Let's find a shortcut to do it. Because the whole part of divisibility rules is to make your calculations simple. So is it divisible by 9? The way that I would do it is I would just write it out again. 281,495, just so we can look at it. And I would say, okay, I know that 9 is divisible by 9. And I also know that 4 plus 5 is 9, which is also divisible by 9. I know that 7 plus 2 is divisible by 9. I have 8 plus 1 is also divisible by 9. So yes, it is. What if it happens if I change the numbers just slightly? 7, 4, 8, 1, 4, 9, 5. So I know that 9 is divisible by 9. I know that 4 plus 5 is divisible by 9. I know that 8 plus 1 is divisible by 9. But 7 plus 4 is 11. So 11 is not divisible by 9. So we're going to say no. Not divisible by 9. So before we go on to the mastery check, I want you to go on Math IXL. And we're going to do grade 8, A.2. That deals with divisibility rules. Practice that up, and then we'll see you for a mastery check.